Now I want to talk to you about your experience with Survivor a little bit. Take me through the timeline a little bit, because obviously I'm watching in last September. What months were you away for Survivor?
Yeah, so I filmed in May and June of 2024. So I first applied back in fall of 2023. It was a September Titans game against the Cincinnati Bengals, and I went down to the field afterwards and did all of my content where I, filmed my stand-up, my reels, got all of my post-game stuff done. And then I was just walking on the field, and I pulled out my phone, and I just started filming my audition video for Survivor. Talking about Survivor, talking about my life, talking about my job. I worked on it for a couple of days, sent it in, got a phone call later that week from casting with Survivor, and then you go through this sort of like 6-month process of like constant interviews, of meeting Jeff, meeting some other producers, and then you're jumping over to the casting team, then you're meeting with the CBS executives, and you're filling out medical and paperwork, all of this stuff for like a 6-month period leading up to March of 2024. And that's when I flew out to Los Angeles and did my final casting interview in person. Came straight back to Nashville. It was in the heat of NFL free agency that we were getting it all done. It was like the day
with a first year coaching staff. Yeah, right?
The first day that I had to do my interview was like the first day that the signing, that the window opened for teams to negotiate and sign players. So I was trying to work half the time and also focus on my Survivor stuff, and they let me know at the end of March that I was going to Fiji, and we flew out at the first week of May.
So my wife, when we watch it religiously, we were watching, and obviously we had a rooting interest for you because you see Sports Reporter, and it's like, hey, that guy, we covered, so the overall experience, since you guys find out right when you're out there now, it's different. What is it like with friends, with family when you come home? Like, I know you probably have non-disclosure stuff that you can't really go around and talk, but how do you get back to your normal life after an experience where you're living out there and you're basically become a character? You're yourself, but you become a character.
Well, it's really difficult is like the easiest way to say it, but because it doesn't come through on the TV screen, which it can't possibly when you've got 90-minute episodes that are summarizing days upon days, is just how like immersive and real and authentic the experience is, just how challenging and extreme it is at times. And so you go out there and the people that you're there with kind of become not your family, but they become your entire world. You don't know anything of the world outside of this like little community that you built in Fiji. And especially when you are like me and you go all the way to the end of the game, like this just becomes it becomes home. I remember leaving the beach for the first time when we were getting ready to go to Final Tribal Council. And there was this thought of like, I'm never going to be back here. Like this place has been home for over a month, and I've grown sentimentally and emotionally attached to being here, and I'm never going to step foot back here again. And so it's very hard because then you're kind of dropped back into the world less than a day after you finish filming Final Tribal Council. It's a super quick turnaround. Really? And for everybody else, life went on. Life just sort of kept going, and they missed you. Have you seen Severance, the television show?
Yeah, a little bit. I haven't caught.
So it actually is kind of similar to Severance in that regard. This idea that these people who go through severance, or they go down to work, and then the next thing they know, they're conscious again, and it's after work, right? And so for them, the time doesn't exist. Yeah. And that's how it was for my family, where my family was feeling every day that I was away. Life just kept ticking. And it was sort of like I just hit pause on life, went and lived a separate life, and then had to hit resume. And I missed a chunk of time that I don't feel like I ever missed.
That's so. You know what I think? I'm a Marvel guy. Yeah. So I think of it as the snap, as the Thanos snap. That the idea of you leave the island, you come back, and you're expecting life to be what it was when you left, and now all of a sudden it's not. It's whatever's happened, and it may just be mundane life.
Well, as long as it's for you and your family goes through it. So like you're you're expecting life to be as it was, and it's not, and your family sort of expecting you to be as you were, and you're not. You're a different version of yourself coming back from it because of all of the positive and negative traumas that it sort of like leaves on you. It's a really immersive, really moving experience. You learn things about yourself. It challenges you. You have so much fun as well, and you come back to sort of regular life, and you're chasing this high, chasing this feeling that you just felt, having so much fun playing the game of your dreams, and it makes you a little bit different than you were when you left. And so for your family, when you come back, it can be hard.
And it's one of those things where it's like, in our life, we're constantly on the phone, constantly checking updates, especially certain time of year, that's completely out of your life. So you come home and it's like, well, I wonder what happened with the Titans when I get back. I mean, how long does it take you to get back into that routine?
Yeah, it took me maybe a full month before I was like really back into doing stuff at the pace that I was before I left, because my life is so fast paced, and it strips you down to the most slow paced environment you can imagine, where you just have nothing. You don't have time to have entertainment and eat food and do all of the things that you would do that fill up our days and keep us busy and keep us fueled. It's this very slow. You've got nothing to eat. You've got nothing to do. Sometimes you got nobody that you even want to talk to. And so you're just there.
It's like, who's going to stab me in the back tonight when I go to the tribal council?
You're just there with your thoughts. And most of those thoughts are very paranoid thoughts. And the days are long. And so it can be overstimulating for sure when you're just dropped back, and it takes weeks,
Yeah, I don't think I could ever do it. I love the show. Like I said, I've watched it from the very beginning, and I'm fired up, and I love reality TV. Yeah. My wife and I watch it. I don't know if I could ever do it. I don't know.
It is hard. Like it is,
especially hearing the way you're talking about it.
It's so fun though. Like, and that's the one thing that I would say is that it was such a positive experience. Like, I had the most fun, even when I was hungry, even when I was starving, even when I was paranoid. Like, that's what I signed up for. That's what I loved about it, watching it, and that's what I wanted to live. So I was getting the real thing, but it is the real thing. It is very real. It will kick you just when you think you're up. It'll knock you back down, and so you do have to make sure that you have like a why. I think you have to have a reason for going out there, because if you don't have something to keep yourself focused and motivated and locked in, you just can't let your brain slip. Once you slip, it's over.
Did you watch last night's premiere?
I did.
I didn't. I haven't watched it yet. Encouraged?
Yeah,
I mean, interesting.
I love the show. I don't think there's a bad season of Survivor. I think like even the worst season of Survivor is still, leaps and bounds above everything else you've got in that market. But no, I'm excited for 48. It's such a lively, energetic cast. It's a lot of, I call them main characters. Like, there's a lot of people that feel like they're the main character, that are trying to prove that they're the main character. A little confrontational, a little messy, but all of the good things. So it was a great start to the show, and Survivor really seems to have found their stride here in the new era. Like, they've put together multiple really strong seasons in a row with the way that they've cast it, with the way that they've sort of settled into the structure. They're really in like this golden era.
My wife has I dragged her into watching the show. She gets upset sometimes at the editing. She feels like it's too leading. It leads you to where the story is going to be sometimes, and I just fall into it. So she kind of predicts some of the things that happen, and I don't look at it that way. I see the game.
Yeah.
I look at it as a game, which is interesting. One more thing on Survivor, and then I have to ask you about Traitors.
Okay.
Survivor 50.
Yeah.
Look, I know 50 years of Survivor. You're not thinking of a pecking order of where you fit.
Sure.
But if they do a all-star edition, if you got that call, would you go back?
Yeah, I would absolutely go back. I had such a positive experience, especially a season like season 50, which would be, we've already heard Jeff Probst talking about like the celebration of Survivor, that he wants it to be. And I'm somebody that was born the year, not to age myself too young here, but I was born the year Survivor Borneo came out. Wow. I've grown up as the show has grown up, and I love it.
Wait, you're only 24 years old?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. Doing it young. This is when you got to do it. When you young, live the adventure.
I just turned 52 a couple weeks ago. So.
But no, it would be like when something leaves such a big impact on you and your life, like Survivor has to me, before I even played, like it just spoke to me as a human and to my soul, and gave me a lot of friends that I was able to talk Survivor with constantly. When something leaves that impact on you, it's nice to know that you've left an impact on it as well. And I do think that is what season 50 would signify for all of the people that are selected to go out there. Is like, hey, you are somebody that, has an impact on the history of Survivor, and we want you to help celebrate Survivor. So
I think you should be there. You should be there.
Thank you.
Except if the Titans are, all of a sudden getting into
right. They're getting interesting.
Getting into playoffs. All of a sudden, you got to give it up. I love following you on Twitter because you tweet about traders. I have to watch when I'm not watching traders.
Yeah.
I agree with you. My biggest issue, we were big Boston Rob fans in our house, which is ironic considering we're Yankee fans, but he's wearing the Red Sox.
Yeah.
And I root for it. But I'm a little disappointed with the way the traders have turned out, and I agree with that. I think you said Danielle is one of the.
Okay, yeah. She's been messy, but listen, I've grown to accept what traders is. I think if I go into traders, and if you go into traders with the same attitude that you go into Survivor with, you're going to be disappointed every time.
That is true.
Because it's not the strategic show. It's not the social dynamics that Survivor has. I go to just watch some of my favorite reality stars get into petty arguments and fight with each other and lie and become big characters on the TV. And that is the one thing that this season has really delivered. Yeah. Has Danielle been a good strategic trader? Absolutely not. She's been pretty much wrong at every turn that she's taken.
They were all awful. I mean, from the beginning.
And, Rob, maybe got a little too aggressive too soon. Carolyn, I thought, played it actually fantastic. And then sort of unraveled in one episode.
Last week's episode, it was unbelievable how every turn she gave it right to Danielle.
She was killing it all the way up until then, so she did it very well. But I watch it for those we got 4 traders that are all fighting each other in the turret, and that I think is exactly what the viewer comes and signs up for.
Yeah, you're right about that. I don't know if I'm a little leery because I'm not going to watch tonight. I'm going to wait till I get home with my wife. Okay. I'm a little leery with now they've got the pair together with Danielle and Brittany because
it's intriguing. It is intriguing because I think they might. I'm hoping that Brittany turns on Danielle. That's what I hope happens.
That would be and going back to
satisfying.
Going back to the editing, my wife nailed it from the first episode when
their relationship is important,
and they basically gave us that carrot from the very beginning of the show.
Yeah.
So if anybody's watched Traders, and I know my producer Paul, who's a big Giants fan, but also is he's putting in questions for you. So, what's your favorite reality show besides Survivor?
Who? I mean, right now it probably is The Traders. It is my number one. I'm a big fan of The Challenge. I like The Challenge a lot.
I watched it in the very beginning and I just lost to watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot to keep up with. They churn out a lot. It's a lot of episodes. But I like The Challenge. It's got some of that same. It's sort of a mix of what you get on Traders and what you get on Survivor. There's some strategy. There's some physicality, a lot of physicality on The Challenge, and then a little bit of petty drama in there for some people. And the fun thing with The Challenge is that every season is an all-star season because they always bring back the same people. So I
used to watch it. I don't even know if you were born or you were probably still in diapers when I used to watch it. It was just literally the Real World and Road Rules Challenge.
Yep.
That's all it was, And back then, I remember going all the way back. And now, people who are on that show are now in the government.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Deal or No Deal Island.
That's what I was going to say.
Paul brought that one up. That one's fun. I just started season 2. I'm kind of late to the party. I watched season 1 last month. I got caught up on it. But Jordan Fowler, the winner of season 1. I just spoiled season 1 for anybody watching, so I'm sorry about that. But she actually lives in Nashville, so she got me really into Deal or No Deal Island. I got watching that, so I'm loving the second season, and I like their model of getting survivors out there. Getting Parvati, getting Rob on season 1 as well has been so great.
Paul's question is, if you were in an all-star season of Survivor, and Boston Rob, Parvati, and Russell Hantz are all out there.
Yeah.
And here comes Sam. How do you approach that? So can you beat him?
Russell, I think there's enough animosity out there towards him that, you just gotta direct the group paying attention to Russell. I don't think I would have an issue with taking out Russell Hance. Boston Rob, I feel like it would have to be, you have to do a lot of ego stroking. From what we've seen from Rob is we know Rob likes to be in control. He can't help himself but to try and take control. And so if I'm deviating from what Rob wants me to do, he's probably going to come after me. So I have to at least put up the facade at all times. Like, yes, Rob, whatever you say, Rob. Yep, I think you're great. You're the best. I actually look up to you a lot, Rob. And make him get a little bit comfortable. Make him feel like I'm a fanboy. And that's when I can strike. Parvati, I don't know. She's dangerous. I think she's the best Survivor player
I think she's the most dangerous. Yeah, she's the most dangerous. As much as, Sari was praised all, and Sandra, Parvati she's the gold standard. I did not I never root for Parvati, but she's devious.
I think good. when you look at the full body of work, the full resume for Parvati, it's really hard to find a better blend of a player in my eyes for somebody who won a lot of challenges and seemed to find a way in with all these social bonds and kind of charm her way through the game while also being a strategic mastermind and continually pulling the wool over people's eyes. So Parvati would be tough, because Parvati's one of those people that you just know she's so good that if I was playing with Parvati, I would want to play with Parvati, but I'd always kind of feel like I'm looking over my shoulder.
Feel like the Black Widow's coming.
And I don't know, like it's hard to fully be able to trust her because you just know that her resume speaks for itself.